Don't waste your time trying to prove your value to those who don't see it. One of the most important lessons that we have to learn in this life is realizing and knowing and acknowledging our own value, ourselves, without the need for someone else to validate that reality that we should already be aware of. You see, when you have a lot of unhealed wounds, unhealed traumas, when you have low self-esteem, when your confidence has been broken down throughout your life, you have to realize your own value within yourself. It is very dangerous. Like, I can't tell you how dangerous it is for you to be walking around in this world not knowing your own worth. When you don't know your worth, you're going to find yourself in very low quality experiences. You're going to end up in some very fucked up, dire situations that can be life threatening. It can get real like that. So you have got to really understand and really hone in on the importance of you seeing your own value. You see, when you don't see your own value, you could end up in situations where you might want to off yourself. You have not broken that codependency chains. And like in my previous video, I was talking about how the covert narcissists, they expect you to off yourself because they're so arrogant, but also because they understand that that you were wounded, that you haven't healed fully. Because really, and it's really hard to be in an abusive relationship with a covert narcissist when you've already done a tremendous amount of healing work, because you're gonna see it. Like, it's gonna be so obvious to you that you're gonna be repelled by their toxic ways. You're not gonna be drawn to it, you see. So the more you know, the more the more you see, the clearer your vision is. And I'm telling you, it gets to a point where you pretty much could see everything. Like, you could see right through people. It can get scary, not for us, but for the manipulators, for the abusers. Like, they don't know what to do with us because oh my God, I can tell you, like, there was one time, and I'm gonna share this. Like, I mean, there's been several times, but there was a person, right, I had class with once upon a time, and she tried to play the little mind game, and then I basically broke it down what she was doing. She tried to make me feel bad about myself, and then I literally broke down the little psychological little mind game she tried to do. And she looked at me, she didn't know what to say. She looked at me like she was shocked, because it was like, oh, like, I just literally, just like that, we ain't wasting no time with that bullshit. And it literally is funny how covert narcissists will try to make you feel like shit. They try to lower your confidence, not realizing that I can literally, send that right back to you. It's gonna ricochet right off of me, because I'm gonna let you know what you try to do. And I did it so smooth that it's like she didn't even know how to react. They're like, oh shit. It's like whiplash, like. Whew. Like, you didn't see that coming. And I don't have to be belligerent. I don't have to be disrespectful. I'm just letting you know what you try to do. And now you're sitting there like, damn, And so at that point, she tried to lower my self-esteem, but instead now she's left with low self-esteem, and she feels stupid. She tried to make me feel stupid, but she ended up feeling stupid because I could see right through that. And see, when you make a covert narcissist feel exposed in that way, it's like you're exposing them without exposing them. Like, I didn't have to call you a covert narcissist to know that that's what you are, or to let you know that I know what you are. You see what I mean? It's like, it's so smooth how we do it. When you get to this point, you will really freak these people out. It gets to a point where this person, they're gonna be freaked out, all right? Because you break down the little dark psychology they try to do. It to me is hilarious when you look at the reaction. And just to finish this story, she basically she it took her a while to say something, and when she did, she was like, she still tried to gaslight me, but it didn't work. I mean, it was futile. She was, because what else could she do, right? She was like, girl, you're tripping. I said, in my mind, I look at her like, nah, you and I know very well what you tried to do right there, but we're gonna leave this behind, and I always pay attention to my intuition. I'm telling you, you have to trust yourself. And that comes with, you see, you start to value yourself more when you realize how much you have to rely on your own knowledge. We all have the ability to have internal knowledge, to have intuition. You have to pay attention to it. It's just that the problem is that when you have a history of abuse and trauma, especially when you're on top of narcissistic abuse, which is very psychological too, you put all that together and it's like they make you question your own sense of reality, which is the gaslighting. It's like they make you not trust in yourself. Realizing your value within yourself is the most powerful thing you can do. And what's crazy is that you don't even need another person to validate that. You don't need other people to make you feel that way. Now, you may think that it's nice to get some positive feedback. It's great to receive compliments. That's amazing, that's appreciated. But you don't want your whole existence to solely rely on what other people say. And sometimes when you're in a position where you're at your lowest, there's gonna be times where you're gonna be struggling so bad that you're not going to really like what you see in your own life or in yourself. There's going to be times where you'll be so broken that it's going to be hard for you to really appreciate and love yourself. There's been times like that, when you look back, when you were in that dark place, it was very hard for you to love yourself. To be honest, you might have suffered from self-loathing. You faced a lot of things like that. So when you were in that dark place, you didn't really love yourself. That is the moment where you've reached that anger and sorrow threshold. You're experiencing high levels of pain that is chronic, and then it keeps happening. It's ongoing. Different events happen. That's why they call it complex trauma. You have complex trauma because that means what are the different layers of that? Well, what makes trauma complex is not just the type of abuse or the frequency of abuse, that too, but also who was the person that abused you, who were the ones that traumatized you, what type of figure were they in your life. And the closer they were to you, or if they were in the position of, a caregiver of some sort, that is very damaging to the core, You've had these different things happening in your life, And then you combine that with the psychological and spiritual warfare as well, because some people have family members that have been casting spells against them, you see. There's a lot of weird shit that happens in life that we have to be aware of. Honestly, when you wake up to the realization that, you were the odd one out. You were the one that was set apart. You were the one that's chosen. So when people talk all this shit about, oh, you think you're all that because you think you're chosen. You think you're chosen. You're so arrogant. Like, no, you don't know shit about the path of a chosen person. The path of a chosen person is riddled with lots of trauma, pain, sorrow, rage, righteous wrath, of course, and the chronic longing to not be in this earth. A lot of chosen people, they go through a lot of shit, and they have to master the ability to transmute all of that pain and turn it into a fuel of empowerment, enlightenment, and a very high level love frequency. That is not an easy thing to do. You look at all these fucked up experiences that people have had, and for some reason, people still want to shit on those who survived. You have to realize your own value, because if you don't, No one else will, and you're gonna be in a very terrible position in life. And it could be hard. I'm telling you, it's not the easiest thing to do. The best way to get to that point is by investing into yourself. And I say that a lot, but I mean it, like self-care. Self-care in the form of learning about who you are. It's almost like being in a relationship with yourself. You know, a lot of people, they look for love through other people. You know, they look, especially codependent. A lot of codependent people, they're always looking for love through other people rather than getting to know themselves and really cultivating their own sense of identity and sense of pride, healthy pride, that allows them to walk confidently. Because you need to build yourself up before you even think about relationship. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not healed, you should not be looking for a relationship. When you're unhealed and you look for somebody, your presence is going to give off vulnerable vibes. You know, people catch on to the vibration of being vulnerable. And abusive, toxic, and narcissistic people, they catch on to that. And when they see you, you're so wounded that you don't really have much direction in your life. You see, when you're in a dark place, so you've been severely hurt, sometimes you look for other people to comfort you. And see, that's what the abusers and the narcissists, that's what they're hoping for, because that way they become the medicine for you. Even though their medicine is not really medicine, they make you believe that it is, but it's really poison. You see, that's when they pull the rug from under you. It's when you realize that so-called medicine, you know, was really poison. And they brainwash you into thinking that you need to consume this. They make you addicted to them. It's a drug, right? Medicine is drug, but medicine can either heal you, or it could be a drug that makes you addicted or dependent. You start to develop a dependency for it. And with the abusive individual, they know how to make you addicted to them in such a way where you think you need them. You think that you can't live without them. You think they have all this medicine, but the truth is that you're dealing with pharmakia, which is not really real medicine. It's some poison. You know what I mean? Like all of that. It's not. It temporarily treats you through the love bombing stage, but in essence, it comes with all these crazy side effects. You ever seen those commercials? All those commercials that tell you, oh yeah, about a certain medication, and then it comes with all these side effects, and then the person narrating the ingredients is saying it real fast and a little, you know what I mean, like tongue twisting. Because and then sometimes they'll be like, oh, side effects include suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, you know, stuff like that. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. So I'm supposed to be taking, when I take medicine, it's supposed to make me feel better. Why the fuck is this giving me thoughts of unaliving myself? And guess what? That's exactly what abusive people, that's what they want to do to you. You know, especially the covert narcissists. You know, the ones that are not physically aggressive. They may not be physically aggressive, but they sure as hell know how to really get in your head, really verbally, psychologically, emotionally abuse you to such an extent that you even want to off yourself. It's not a game. You know, that way they are free from any repercussions of that. So that those type of people, you know, they know what they're doing, you know, rather than putting their hands on you, because obviously that would create evidence and stuff like that. But anyway, so they pretend to be the medicine, but in reality, they're the poison, and you're constantly taking in that poison. You become addicted to it. And you know what's so fucked up about being addicted to poison is when you actually believe that it's medicine. And this goes back to another video that I said about that, about how covert narcissists, right, how they steal the essence from the real ones. You know, the people that have those healing gifts, the people that have all of this beauty within, right, from not just the outside, but the ability to heal people, the ability to empower others. You know, the soulless, you know, the covert narcissists, they steal from the chosen so that they can produce what looks like medicine, but really all it is they use that as a way to, they want to basically replicate that mystique of being the medicine that you need. Oh yes, they become everything you ever wanted in a person, and then once they have you, bam, you're trapped with them, and you know you're dealing with them. Your mental health starts to decline. You pay attention to your mental health. Absolutely, that mental and medical, because once those things start to decline, as soon as you get with this person, then that's how you know that there's something going on here. Understanding your value. Again, I'm telling you, once you know your value, I mean, you cannot be manipulated. You're not gonna be, you see, somebody could try to hurt you, but it's not gonna succeed, because you only feel that hurt if you allow it, or if you give that person the time of day, if you allow this person to be important to you. And that comes with being codependent and valuing the other person more than yourself. And one of the biggest lessons that you'll learn when dealing with these type of people is that you're going to realize that you're going to finally reach that breaking point where you're like, you know what? You've been given so much of your energy to this person, putting them on a pedestal, thinking that they could save you or that they can give you the love that your mother or your father or whoever never gave you. You see, you have to realize that this is manipulation they've been doing to you. They know what you need. That's why they pretend to be the medicine. The covert narcissist pretends to be the cure to all your problems, but in reality, you're the one that carries that healing energy. You're the one that's the empath. You're the one that has that thing that they need because they need that supply. But they're taking it out of you. And they're twisting your brain to make you think that you need them. But in reality, the covert narcissist actually needs you. They need you so that they can create this false reality that they're this powerful person. But in reality, that's not the case. And then they devalue you in the process. They suck all the energy out of you and then make you believe that you need them to continue on with your life. That's what they do. And when they know that you have a lot of trauma and you have not done the healing work and you're still looking for external sources to heal, that's when they got you. Is when you think that you need someone in order to get to a certain place in life. And you have to realize that you never needed the covert narcissist. You never needed no one to validate your value, your worth. Does it help when we have a supportive network? Absolutely. Does it help when we have good friends? When we have people in our corner that let us know, how much we mean to them? Of course, when people appreciate us and show us love, that is something that all human beings need. And that's a normal thing. See, there's nothing wrong with you because you're looking for love. There's nothing wrong with looking for love. The problem is when you start to become blinded from who you're looking to get the love from. When you start to, like, okay, you're not properly vetting this person out. You're just like, oh, this person is everything I ever wanted. Oh, you just jump to it. No, you got people that are very manipulative. And I've seen covert narcissists in action. I'm telling you. Like I said earlier, one of them freaked out because just from one interaction, bam, just like that, I already broke down her game. She tried to lower my confidence and it didn't work. And then, you know why? Why it freaked her out? Because she's older than me. She's like, I think she's 40. And I'm like, well, how old was I? I was like late 20s. I was in my late 20s. She was 40. And she still tried to play that stupid game, trying to make me feel stupid or make me feel some type of way. But in turn, that ended up backfiring back on her ass. And then listening to the conversations or the stuff that she would say in class, I realized, yeah, this is a covert narcissist, a covert spiritual narcissist, because of the fact that She tried to say that witchcraft is the same as the Jesus healing energy. Once I heard that, I was like, oh no, she's definitely a spiritual covert narcissist, and she ain't even hiding it. But you know what's so crazy? People say that covert narcissists are hard to detect. I beg to differ in that situation, because the moment that you start saying some blasphemous shit like that, I already know who the fuck you are. Ain't no way that you could be spiritually awakened and you're gonna fall for that. Because Jesus' healing powers, the source comes from the Most High. Witchcraft is the manipulation of energy that comes from the dark world. Two completely different sources of energy. How in the fuck can you compare the two? Now, either she doesn't know and she don't know any better, or she's one of those people that try to hide behind spirituality or religion to make herself seem benevolent, but in reality probably doing some dark shit behind closed doors. And I would say, you know what, because of her age, being 40, like being that old, and you still don't know, I'm sorry, but yeah, you cannot be trusted. I would say pay attention to shit like that. Pay attention to the way that she would interact with other people, right? Because this is a classroom setting. And what's really crazy is that this guy was way older than her, and he was falling for her, like what I mean by falling, I don't know about falling in love, but I mean like he was believing everything she said. And I noticed that she was speaking in code. You see, covert narcissists, they like to speak in code to bring your confidence down. Starts talking about broke people or something, people that don't have money. This man felt like shit and I knew in real life this man was actually going through some financial trouble. He looked at her and he looked very sad. He felt like shit. I can tell by his face that he felt like shit, because they were in close communication with each other. And she kept talking about an individual in particular not having any money, yada yada. The look on his face, I'm like, oh yeah, she's talking about you. But she's trying to make it seem like she's talking about somebody else. But I can tell by that stupid ass smirk on her face that she was disrespecting this man right here that was going through something. And I say that because I know that's a good man. And I don't like when people disrespect good men and good women. You see? And that right there, like I said, pay attention to these covert narcissists. You don't have to say nothing. You just sit back, watch it unfold, and you're like, yeah, I knew it. See, me, here's a thing that you can apply in your life. You want to avoid going through betrayal. You want to prevent yourself from being betrayed because you picked the wrong friend, the wrong partner, the wrong, whoever, right? Start learning, and you got to really master emotional intelligence, dark psychology, and human behavior, and just observe and watch. And I'm telling you, especially when you go through narcissistic abuse, that you need to really gain as much skills as you can. Like, you need to fill your mind with knowledge so that when you sit back and observe it in real time, and I think observation is important. This is key. Sit back and just watch how people interact. I don't have to talk to this broad, and I know I shut that shit down, because when she tried to do that to me, I broke that shit down to the molecule, and she looked at me like she seen a ghost. I was like, yeah, I am a ghost. I'm a spirit. I freaked her out. And then some weird shit happened that same evening that led me to believe that this person was trying to figure out who the fuck I am, because how was I so young, but I was able to break down the stupid shit that she tried to pull on me. Whereas the older guy fell for it, and started feeling bad about himself. You know why? Because he had a weakness for women, and when a good man has a weakness for women, for females, for the poom poom, if you will, you are going to be in a world of hurt. You are going to go through so much heartbreak, because I'm telling you right now, there's some very ruthless females that are looking for guys that are gonna not question them, not even think about nothing. You see, you have to see through the beauty Stop getting caught up in that. And same concept applies to the ladies. You look at a man and you think, oh, he's so fine, he's so tall, he's so this, he's got a nice body, whatever the fuck, even got a flashy car. You have got to watch yourself, because a lot of times, I'm telling you, they're gonna be like that. They're gonna come flashy, but you have to have your logical mind has to be on point. You have to really pay attention, and you have to really see through all the bullshit, because these people will snatch your soul away if you don't pay attention. They will literally destroy you from the inside out, especially if they're into witchcraft and stuff like that. Spiritual covert narcissists, oh yeah, they will definitely try to devour your soul if you let them. And then the thing about these covert narcissists is that they're gonna try to act like, they're gonna play the damsel in distress type of scene to get you. Let me break this down. Actually, the covert narcissist is gonna play that. The female version is the damsel in distress to get a man's attention, because they know that good men are drawn to protect, right? So they're gonna do that. They put themselves in, so that's how they attract their prey. Whereas the male covert narcissist is going to play the fake first responder. They're gonna basically pretend like if they see a woman that they're gonna pay attention to one woman in particular, and a woman that has a lot of she's going through a very tough time, or maybe she's in a vulnerable state. So now the fake ass first responder is gonna run right to her, and he's gonna pretend like he gives a fuck, and he's gonna do all this shit, right? White shining armor. He's gonna be the one that helps her heal, it encourages her to heal, and having all these conversations, and you just feel so special. You feel like, oh, he cares about me, he's giving me the love I never got, growing up. And then they go in for the kill eventually, and then you feel like your soul is slipping out of you, and you don't know what happened. You lost yourself. Now you feel like you need this person to feel alive, to feel like you're worth something, right? Because that part of you was lacking from your parents. That's why. And so that's how that works. That's how that goes. So you have to be careful. That's why I said you need to learn to appreciate the isolation seasons, because there's going to be more than one throughout your life, but you have to appreciate it. And when you get to that point, you're going to get to that level where you thrive off of solitude. When you become that type of person, nobody can touch you, because when you become comfortable in your own solitude, anybody that comes to disrupt the peace can get the fuck out. And that's basically what it is. You're like, you know what, this ain't worth it. Because if you get to a point where you feel like you feel better being alone than to be with that piece of trash, then it's safe to say that you're gonna give them the boot, and that's it. That's all, basically. So never ever tolerate abuse from anyone, and don't let them back in after they've done so much damage to you. You could forgive, you can let it go without taking them back. I'm telling you, because you don't want to go back to that bullshit. Know your value always. Don't forget about it.